Hi, I recorded this video last night. However, I'm redoing it because last night I wasn't very focused, and I feel like I have a clearer and better mind tonight. But basically, this is a special video I'm making about the Supreme Court ruling last week, which basically stripped away most campaign finance restrictions on corporations and unions. This basically means now that a corporation can spend, or a union can spend, just about any amount of money it wants on any campaign, not just federal but state and local, that it wants to. So that means if there's some local government that's pursuing some sort of a political or legislative agenda that a particular corporation doesn't like, it can pour in ridiculous amounts of money to slant the election totally. So we have basically here a situation where the very principle of democracy can get horribly distorted by money, concentrated wealth, far more than it already is. For most of the past 30-40 years, we've had restrictions on hard money, and in 2002 there were some new laws put in place to disclosing you have to say in an ad who pays for it and stuff like that. But, there have been restrictions, and still big money has dominated our elections profusely for the past 30 years. If you thought that was bad, it could only get horribly worse now. It may be that, hopefully this comes as a wake-up call. I hope that this is so egregious that people stand up and realize that their country is being completely taken over by corporate interests, and that one of the reasons why the inequality keeps getting worse in this country is that the same people who are getting obscenely rich rig the game and the political legislative agenda so that it keeps staying that way and allows them to lobby for even more unequal society. Now, Tom Hartman and Ralph Nader were talking about this a couple days ago on one of their YouTube videos, and I will post the link. There have been a few proposals. One of them is by Congressman Alan Grayson, which is to just put a heavy tax on corporate contributions to campaigns. There's no clear determination yet whether or not the Supreme Court could rule against something like that, so they might as well try it. Another possibility is that we can say, okay, a corporation can contribute as much money to a campaign as it wants, but if it does so, it can no longer be traded on the New York Stock Exchange or on NASDAQ. It has to go be taken off the public market if you're going to do that. Those probably would survive, judicial scrutiny, at least for a little while. There's also a Durbin-Larson bill being proposed where you have public funding for corporate-free candidates. Basically, you will get a substantial amount of public money to spend on your campaign if you agree not to accept any donations more than $100 from any private or business entity. So, yeah, that's one way that we might be able to get around it. Ralph Nader has the suggestion that, okay, if a corporation is going to contribute to candidates, a majority of the shareholders have to approve. Because right now a lot of decisions made by corporations are not put past the shareholders. The executive and management branch of the company quite often has a kind of unchecked power that Ralph Nader has complained about in the past, and I agree. If the company is going to at least be run by the shareholders, maybe not the workers, but at least the shareholders should have the ability to stop abusive behavior by the company. Now, it's important to remember that corporate rights are not listed in the Constitution or the Declaration of Independence. They were decided that they existed by what was that decision back in the late 19th century, where they used the 14th Amendment Equal Protection to argue that corporations have the same rights as human beings. Of course, we know that sets a terrible precedent, because they don't have the same survival needs that human beings do, and they can't be punished in the same way that human beings can if they break the law. You can't exactly send a company to jail or kill it with the death penalty, so that's kind of hard. Ultimately, I think that the long-term solution is going to have to be some kind of a constitutional amendment that clearly delineates what rights corporations do and do not have, and basically states that corporations are not human beings. Only when that is finally decided do I think this issue is really going to be settled. But this is an issue that we need to be talking about, big time. Do not sweep this under the rug. We need to talk about it with our families, about ideas, about what we can do to get around this.